here. If you have some trouble with it, there's no addiction to perfection here. You can come back to this again. Maybe after 3 days of doing cleansings, I want you to feel like, sometimes work like this takes practice, but we all have the capacity to engage trance work. The helping spirit that we're going to be engaging here is actually an archetype. And the archetype we're going to be engaging is our inner healer. I think everyone probably has an idea of archetypes. There's the archetype of the fool or the king or the queen or the child, all coming from like a Jungian psychological perspective. I'm a big believer in archetypes. We're going to be working with the inner healer, which is that big archetype of healer that exists in the universe as it exists inside you. It's your own capacity to heal that we're going to be interfacing with. The last thing we're going to do before we jump into this is everyone's going to be honoring the way that you visualize. You're going to be being with what is. I want you to know that you also have VCR tools. That's another thing that you can do in this form of trance state or in shamanic journey. You can slow things down. Sometimes, you might go into a trance state like a shamanic journey or this work, and antelope are running at you, and then there's your grandma, and there's someone hands you a cup of tea, and you can say, whoa, 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 slow down. And you can then press the rewind button, and we're going to go back, and we're going to replay real slow. Oh, wait. We're going to zoom in here. You absolutely have all the tools you have in a VCR, you have right now. They help if something shows up and you can't hear it, say, can you speak up loud, turn up the volume? All of these things are just like a child who is working in their imagination playground. They are engaging, they're inviting, but they're also being engaged, and they're engaging back in these ways. You're wanting to get information. We are going on a quest for some very simple information, but I understand it might be in a way that might be unique for people. I'm going to try my best to lead you in the way that I know. The last thing I want to do is we've done some cleansing. Let's create some sacred space. The way I usually call in sacred space is I call in my protective helping spirits. It's okay if you've never heard of that idea. It's okay if you don't believe that they exist. It's okay if you don't know who they are. You've got them as far as I'm concerned. You might just I call in protection. Maybe you don't like that idea. Maybe you're like, you know what, Iron Man, he was cool. Maybe he could protect me in this weird shaman thing we're doing. Call in Iron Man. I'm sure he will, frankly. Do whatever you need to do right now to just call in the energy of protection. Ancestral helping spirits who live well and died well. I call in my protective helping spirits. I call in Iron Man. I call in the archetype of protection. I call in Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Whatever makes you feel protected. I call in my great grandma so-and-so who really, really loved me. Call in the energy of protection. And you might even imagine yourself surrounded by a white circle of light that nothing profane or harmful could enter. Beginning to take deep belly breaths, breathing deep into your belly, and then exhaling. Continuing to breathe deep into your belly. As you inhale peace and tranquility. As you exhale stress, fear, and doubt. And as you continue to breathe deep, relaxing ever and ever more, I'm going to call in the 7 directions. And you can continue breathing deep. And I'm calling in the 7 directions for all of us. I turn to the east, and I call in the element of air. You that are mental acuity, clarity, I welcome the good medicine from the east. I welcome the protection that comes from the east. Welcome. From the south, I call in the element of fire. The good medicine and protection that come from the south. Welcome. From the west, I call in the element of water. The good medicine and protection and blessing that come from the west. Welcome. From the north, I call in the element of earth. The good medicine, blessing, and protection that come from the north. Welcome. I reach up to the above, the great above, creator, stars, moon, and sun, calling in protection from the above. I greet the earth. I greet the land of the ancestors. I greet the great below and call in protection. Welcome. I greet the center. The center is where you are. I greet the center, thanking for protection. Feeling 4 elements, 7 directions, all creating a delicious and perfect container for our safety, for our ability to be with, for our ability to commune. We set the intention of meeting our inner healer. Continuing to take deep breaths. I invite you to imagine a hole somewhere in your environment. Could be a mouse hole in your apartment. It could be a tree outside. Imagine that there's some gateway into the spirit world. And however it serves you to arrive there, do so. And count down through this tunnel, through this hole from 13 to 1 with me. And as we count down from 13 to 1, we enter into a landscape that's of our preferred nature. It could be a forest, a mountain, a beach. That's what's on the other side of this hole. And we become more relaxed with each number. 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Place your feet on the earth in this preferred place in nature. Could be a mountain, a forest, a beach. And take a moment to simply be with what's here. Take a moment to sense, is it night, day? Sunset or sunrise? Are there fixtures? Are there trees? I invite you to use your inner sense of sight to see what you see. I invite you to use your inner sense of smell to sense what's in your environment. If you feel there might be something undesirable in your environment, you have the right to say, Hekas este depoloi. You also have the right to call in additional protection here. call in. Some of my preferred friends are Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, healthy ancestral helping spirits. Sometimes even calling in the bright strength of the sun to help cleanse the space and environment can be helpful. Touch something. See what it feels like here. Taste something in your environment. Use all of your inner senses to explore your environment. I invite you to call in your inner healer, the big archetype of healing that exists in the universe as it exists inside you. Your inner healer may appear like a person you know. It might look like grandma. It might look like a big ball of light. It might just feel like a presence. There are no wrong answers. Simply invite your inner healer to be present and take a moment to be with how they've shown up. However your inner healer has shown up, give them a hug and thank them for being here. You might ask your inner healer if they have a message for you. The message might come through in words. It might just be an image or a scene or a sense. If you don't entirely understand it, that's okay. You might simply ask them again, could you repeat that? Just so that you receive the information, we can interpret it later. It's not your job to interpret things right now. It's your job to be with information, to be with what is, and to observe. If you've taken note of what has been told and or shown to you, you might ask your inner healer this question. Inner healer, show me the child self holding the belief it best serves me to clear today. This child self is a version of you. It might not look like you. You might be transported elsewhere. The child self might appear in this environment. There are no wrong answers. Be with where you have been taken or who has come up. When you ask your inner healer, show me the child self holding the belief it best serves me to clear today. Take a moment to be with whatever has come up. If there is a visual child in front of you, you might get a sense of how old they might be. You might get a sense of how they feel. You might get a sense of other things in their environment. If there are energies or entities that seem distasteful, again, you might choose to call on Archangel Michael. You might choose to call on Archangel Raphael. You might choose to call on a healthy ancestor to come and help. You might choose to call in the cleansing and authenticity affirming energy of the sun. You might even call in a plant that you love. Once detritus has been removed from the environment and from the child self that you're engaging with, you might thank them for being there. You might give this child version of yourself a hug, again, taking a moment to see if you can sense how old they might be. Most importantly, you might ask this child self, hey, what do you believe? Most likely you've been given a very simple statement, perhaps so simple that you might even discount it. Don't discount it. In fact, yet again, and be aware of how they express this. You might ask them, what do you believe? Take a moment to register that. And now you might ask them, well, why is that? They might give you an answer vocally, or they might show you something or take you somewhere else. Be with whatever comes up. And once you've registered that, you might ask them, that's interesting. And why is that? Be with the next thing you're either told or shown. Register it and ask, well, why is that? And continue to do this as the reasonings are being unraveled. It could be that you're being led to images, scenes, or thoughts that seem to have nothing to do with your childhood, the child, anything you remember, anything sane, and that's okay. Because with each why is that, you're actually unraveling toward a real divine truth that is rightfully yours. Keep asking, why is that? Be with whatever happens, a line in the sky, a flamingo on the toilet. Giving voice and space to this child to express their sense of the evidence. And after 2 or 3 times of asking, why is that, no matter what you see, you might sense your inner healer and ask them if you've done enough here. If the answer is yes, you can ask your inner child, what do you believe now? And chances are the information has changed. If your inner child says keep going, you can keep asking why is that, letting new images unfold, asking why is that. Well, once your inner child, once your inner healer says this is enough, Ask, what do you believe now? And give that child a big hug, letting them move into you, take up as much space in your energy body as they want to take up. Giving them a hug the way you would hug a child you see wrapped in a blanket outside of a burning building. The hug of, I'm here now, I'm the adult and you're safe. As you did receive a new answer as to what was believed, you might take this moment to say aloud that new belief. I invite you to turn to your inner healer and ask them, what can I do now that I couldn't do before? You might receive a verbal or vocal message. You might receive an image. There's no wrong answers. Feel free to ask again until you simply register what you've been told. You can always interpret later. I invite you to thank your inner healer. Give them a big hug. Ask them if they have another message for you. It could be yes, it could be no. If they do, simply register it. And find that way back through the hole. Go back to where you entered here. As we count our way back into middle world. Going from 1 to 13. Back up the ladder or the stairs, however you entered here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, coming back to waking consciousness, 6, 7, 8, 9, beginning to feel the extremities of our limbs, 10, 11, 12, our fingers, our toes, our feet, our hands, our legs, 13. Making back from the hole, coming back into your body, feeling the floor beneath you, bed, the walls, floor beneath you, ceiling, context, all supporting your being here in waking consciousness, opening your eyes, massaging yourself a bit, touching yourself, bringing yourself back, shaking it off, closing whatever portals feel you need to close, just saying, shut it down, making your way back, and taking the next 5 minutes to simply record your experience. And again, I would encourage that you record in first person present tense. I enter the journey. I am with my inner healer. My inner healer shows me a lake and a fish. My inner child expresses this. All first person present tense. Take 5 minutes to simply record record your observations. And then we'll take a look at our experiences. like most people have finished writing. We're going to close out ceremonially. If you've called anything in, that was a good time to express gratitude to that ancestor, to Jesus Christ of Nazareth, to Iron Man. We thank and release that which does not serve to be here anymore. A neo-pagan expression that's very common is stay if you will, go if you must, hail and farewell. Two pieces of homework is when this workshop is done, absolutely take another action of cleansing and releasing. You know, it could be the same action. I'm looking at a bag of rosemary that's near me, and I'm being told that there's at least one person in the class who should smudge themselves with rosemary. If you can, you know, maybe get like a hookah charcoal and throw some rosemary on that, fumigate yourself and the space with that. That would be good. You just, someone in the class, you need to know who you are. You need to hear the ping. That's me. And definitely, we are always thanking the plants that we're working with. We're thanking them for their medicine. We're thanking them for their cleansing and purification qualities that they're bringing into our lives. To begin, did anyone have quote unquote trouble with this exercise? Feel free, I invite you to please speak so that we can troubleshoot, quote unquote.
I had trouble, that's why I had trouble to imagine like a healing archetype. I found that kind of difficult to like imagine an image that I would find helpful. And then the other thing that I just wasn't sure about when we were asking the kind of child self what they believe now, is that therefore then like our belief now?
That's your belief. So tell me, what happened? Were you able to encounter, so your sense of an inner healer was kind of like blurry and abstract, totally valid. Were you able to encounter a sense of a child self?
Yeah, the child thing was really strong and actually really emotional for me. I actually cried quite a lot during the time.
Can I ask what the belief was that they stated?
The belief was about, well, I also found this hard because there was one belief that the child said, but I didn't want to talk about it.
Then feel free, you can absolutely maintain privacy.
No, I just mean like with the child, and that was very much like a belief system of like how I should be when I am a grown up and what makes a person valuable. But I really didn't, I guess, want to I guess I didn't avoid it, but then other things came up, like what I was thinking a lot about how to like hold on to memory, and for me when I was a child that was really to like keep objects and things. And then I was being shown my room as a child with all of the crap that I had in it, with all of the objects, and when I asked why, this also led me down like a really interesting route that I didn't expect.
This is why we engage trance, because it's like boom, what you're not expecting, what you're not thinking about, connections that you would never make. Thank you, truly, for having the courage. This took courage. And any of you could have stopped and been like, deuces, I'm gonna turn my fucking stop video off and I'll come back and be like, that was great, thanks, bye. Like, you had the courage to engage radical honesty, and you just got so much power back from looking at something that you really didn't want to look at.
Yeah, although I don't know, I also find it, although I found it useful, I also find like it's really a sense of mourning to hug the child self. I don't know, maybe because there's a lot of pain there, so I kind of felt like hugging someone that was dead in a way. I felt it quite a mourning process.
You might investigate grief rituals if you are willing to take another step into the uncanny arcane. Grief rituals can be very potent. Pretty much the technology of a good grief ritual is good container. Just like we tried, we set up a good container here, as best as we can do virtually with folks that we don't know in person. The technology of a good grief ritual is good container, perhaps a list of things you want to grieve, or even just one thing, calling in, again, healthy spirits. You might go out into nature, dig a hole, and pour rose water into the hole and just speak, emote. A good grief ritual is good container and thorough, unhesitating expression of that which needs to be grieved in that container, just really letting it flow. I remember I did this once in a park, and I thought I want to do this grief ritual, and I'm sitting there for an hour, and I'm like, it's like a public park in New York. I'm fucking bawling into this fucking hole. It's like pouring milk and rose water. And I was blown away by how having that container and having spirits who are willing to push me a little deeper, allow me to go a bit deeper. I left that container feeling so refreshed. Sobonfu, I'm gonna write her name, Somei. She is no longer with us. She has left, but she is from the Dagara tribe. You might look at some of her writings. She's written, she felt that one of her purposes was to come to the West and teach us how to grieve. We all have a lot of grief we have to process. Does anyone else have anything that they feel it would be good for us to troubleshoot and or interpret, help interpret? Or does anyone have anything that they just feel moved in your heart to share?
I had, what was the first thing that we called?
The first thing we called in was our inner healer.
Oh yeah, so my inner healer was like a rectangle. It was like a really big, like rectangle with edges, and I think it was a rock. So I thought that was weird.
Totally, yeah. I've had my inner healer for like a year. It looked like my little brother, but as Princess Leia. I don't know what that was about. But usually, your inner healer is actually looking like something that is about your own beliefs about healing. So if your inner healer looks abstract, it could be that your beliefs about healing are kind of abstract. These things are fine. I think right now my inner healer looks kind of Gandalf-y. Makes sense for my process.
Cool.
Well, please continue.
With the rest?
If you have anything else that you'd like to share.
The first, wait, oh yeah, I think we said, we asked if there was any other messages.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first one was an image of a crow, like a crow's head. And then the second one was like of some kind of snout, and it looked like maybe like a boar or something like that.
How did those, or are you able to, do you feel like you've been able to interpret those?
The first thing I thought of with the crow is that I've always wanted to make friends with the crow because they have really long memories, and I just wanted to like make friends with it so that I could be like, hey, you again. And so that was the first thought that came to mind when I saw that, but I didn't really have anything that I was thinking of with the snow. That one seemed kind of random, and it was like hard to make out.
So I've got my shaman hat on, and my shaman hat is not applicable to all persons and all cosmologies. Take what you will. I think that your inner healer was encouraging you to make friends with Crow. And I don't know where you live or if that is physically possible, but I would, if I were you, at the very least, go outdoors and give some kind of an offering to the spirit of Crow. You might make a water libation, you might make an offering of tobacco or corn and just say, Crow, I've obviously had a very long curiosity about you. I feel some resonance with you. I want to make this offering in your direction. I look forward to where this relationship could go. That would be a perfect place to start. The snout is interesting. When I don't know what's going on, when I receive a message or a dream that I feel like I can't interpret, I do a very, very powerful shamanic action in relation to that. What the fuck are you guys even fucking talking about? What the fuck was that? That was crazy. That's what you should do.
Okay.
Yeah, like let me know, because that, like, I would like to know, thank you. It meant something. The spirit world is efficient and they're expecting that we know, and we don't know. It's our job to say, I don't know what the fuck that shit was.
Okay.
Someone else had a corvid, absolutely. If it's not an ally that you're already having, because your inner healer, their job is to help you align with healing in your life. And if you have animal helping spirits coming up, then they're saying this animal helping spirit, as far as they're concerned with, has vital medicine for you. Thank you so much, Karen, for being here. Thank you for joining us in this experiment. You guys also should have my email, which is info@impactshamanism.com. You can reach out either about this or other stuff. Does anyone else have anything that they want to share?
Yeah, in my case, I don't know if I was projecting too much my current issues. So yeah, I was having, let's say, conversations, but in a way too much focus on what I'm going through right now. So,
that's fine. So you felt like your current day was bleeding into the experience a bit?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
That's fine. That's great. So that tells us that you could totally try this again on like a day that you've given yourself like more of a span of time. Like, I'm going to give myself this hour is really for me to explore trance state. Don't fucking call me. You turn off all the lights. You really give yourself, you drink a nice tea, you give yourself more of a container and more of a peaceful processing place to be able, you even spend 10 minutes breathing deeply to just get into a more relaxed state. That really is the only block there. It was just that you were relaxed enough, and in a context like this, that totally makes sense. Oh, absolutely. I will type my email in the chat. Thank you, everyone, for playing with me.
Yeah, Chiron, that was amazing. It was really, really powerful, and thank you for taking us into these journeys, for sharing your wisdom.
Thank you so much for inviting me. This was so much fun. Blessings to everyone on your journeys. You're all doing work that speaks to your heart, and we need people doing that which they are moved in their heart to do. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Many blessings. Be well.
Thank you. Have a lovely evening, and we see us next week. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend.
No.
Yay.
Oh God, I just can't navigate this on iPad.
Oh God.
Bye.
Struggling. Bye-bye.